Back to Baxter County Roundtable. I believe this is episode 50, but who's really counting? You know, that goes over what's both my hands have on them, digits wise. Tonight we have Stetson Painter, who is our state rep for District 3, and we're going to talk a little bit about some grants that are in the news recently. And to my left is Russ Gillis, and after we're done with Stetson, we're going to have Shane Little's going to be back by then. But so before we get started, welcome all. We have a few supporters that we want to recognize. One being Baxter County Roundtable, sponsored by Mountain Home Heat and Air, voted best in the Twin Lakes 2 years in a row, 2024 and 2025. And they are the largest Goodman dealer in the Twin Lakes area. Mountain Home Heat and Air together with Goodman are two names you can trust. Goodman systems are made in America by Americans. They also specialize in Dakin mini split systems. From new installations to duct cleaning and everything in between, Mountain Home Heat and Air are the people to call for all your HVAC needs. And they offer high quality systems and workmanship, affordable prices, and financing is available. So give Kirk Lawrence and the folks at Mountain Home Heat and Air a call at 870-425-HVAC, 870-425-4822. And they have, if I understand correctly, they have Made in America products. And
Yep.
I completely endorse that as well.
Yep. Me too.
So Russ.
We're also sponsored by James Boyette State Farm Insurance, located at 1330 Highway 62 East in Mountain Home. James has been in Mountain Home for about 11 years. Offers auto, homeowners, condo, renters, personal article, insurance, business, life, health, and they even offer pet insurance. So, Stetson, if you got a pet, you need to get insured. You know,
I've got
you
one.
Can give
I
James
keep losing them, so I don't know if they cover that. But
I've got several pets, so I'll probably be bankrupt just in insurance alone for pets.
Anyway, and as Joe always likes to say, full disclosure, James Boyd is my State Farm insurance agent. I insure my vehicles, all my tractor, my lawnmower, my house, everything I've got's insured with James. And he is a great insurance agent, I'll tell you right now. Been in Mountain Home about 11 years. I'm going to tell you, just an overall outstanding guy. And, of course, we are also sponsored by the Baxter County Republican Committee. We can't ever forget them because they funded this up front.
they provide the seed money.
Gave us the seed money to get this started and everything, so we appreciate their efforts there.
Awesome. So, well, we just came off of a great family weekend with June 19th. I hope everybody got with their families and barbecued and had a really good time. I don't know if there's...
And I hope everybody realizes what that's about.
Well, I think a lot of people realize what it's about, but I don't think they understand how it came to be. But that's a conversation for another day. I don't want to start any trouble just yet, but I'm capable.
No, it was the Republicans that forced the Democrats to free the slaves on June the 19th in Texas.
The Democrats are taking credit for this, though. And
They should take credit for it because they're the ones that prompted the Republicans to go down there and tell them to get out.
But this bubbled up from George Floyd, but that's another conversation. Anyway, Stetson Painter, welcome, District 3 State Rep. There's a little news in the local paper here about some grants. What can you tell us about that? I have no clue. I saw the picture and didn't read the article.
Well, first of all, it's good to be back with you guys. I think this makes my 7th or 8th time to be on the show, so it's nice to be back on here. So it's kind of grant season right now going on that our local communities, counties, and cities are receiving grants from the state of Arkansas. And so what folks saw on the news was that Baxter County was awarded $15,000 for the courthouse security grant. So what that does, it helps provide monetary assistance for courtroom security. That could be more tasers for the bailiffs. It could be cameras. It could be a whole laundry list of items. And so each county or judicial district puts in their application what they would like to have in that request. And so Baxter County put up to $15,000 and they got it. And so very, very for just David Etheridge and the whole county putting in there. And that's a pot of money that the legislature funds every year. It's about $250,000 that we set aside for courtroom security. And it tries to we try to get everybody as best we can. There's a committee by, I think, our own Mountain Home, former state senator and state rep, which is now Supreme Court Justice Sean Womack. He is the justice that leads that committee. And so I had to work with him and provide that assistance.
Now, when that money comes here, does that go through the quorum court then, or is it already predetermined what that money is being spent on? Or
I think so. I think the way that happens is, if I remember correctly, but don't quote me on that, is they got a grant award and it will go through the quorum court, because I think since it's a budgetary item, it'll go through there, but they'll appropriate that for the courtroom upgrades that they need.
Now, it'll probably come into the general fund and then be allocated via the budget. You know.
Yeah.
Okay. Good deal. Well, that's good. Now,
Well,
is that
and then you got. I was just going to say, you got, which I'm very proud of, as being a former volunteer firefighter. You got all the volunteer firefighters that are putting in for grants, for the rural development grants that we set aside too as well. I just got an email today. Clark Ridge going to apply for a grant, and working with them on getting a new brush truck. So again, that's another thing that folks in these volunteer fire departments right now are getting it ready, is these rural assistant grants, and they mean so much, especially our area where you got volunteer fire departments that can't afford a new brush truck on their own or a new apparatus or whatever, but they can get these things, the equipment that they need to save our lives, to save property too as well, through these grants. So it's a good thing that the legislature funds these each year.
Well, and I'm glad you brought that up, because last week we were going through our ISO inspections, which determines what our ISO level is. We went through ours out at Hand Cove, and I know that Henderson was getting theirs the next day. The big thing is these SBAs, our breathing devices.
Yep.
Most of the ones around the county are obsolete, to the point that they can no longer be fixed because there's no longer parts for them, and they can't be certified because, for instance, Henderson can certify the bottles, the SBAs, but they're not allowed to put the old obsolete ones even on their test stand, because if they do, they stand a chance of losing their certification for testing. So it's my understanding that all the different districts are going to be putting in for a single large rural development grant, probably several $1 million, in order to try to upgrade, the communications devices and the SBAs and a bunch of other equipment that we really, really need.
Right. No, I agree. And that's something that we can, as elected officials, can write letters of support and advocate for those with the state agencies to make sure we get those funded. Because I've talked to Henderson quite a bit in Hand Cove, and I mean, there's parts of the lake where they can't even get a signal on their radio. So, if you have a boating accident or a fire accident or any accident in certain parts of the North Fork Lake, there's spots in there that you cannot reach out even on your radio, and that's a big concern.
Yeah, exactly. With the new digital radios, and everybody's got digital now. The analog radios all went away. The digital radios, you can't, they don't reach down into the bottom of a valley. Just from for instance, for ours, from the Henderson repeater, it will not get down into the valleys.
It won't get to my house.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So,
But
good deal.
The one little thing that I always come to when I hear about grants, and not so much with the fire departments, but just grants in general. There's always strings attached that most people don't know about. What do you think about that? Do you take any of that into consideration when you're looking this stuff over?
So, you know, especially with with the strings attached, we just want to make sure, I think the legislature, folks that are applying taxpayer money to pay for these items, because at the end of the day, it's taxpayer money. We want to make sure that those items that they purchase are being used for the purpose of, for the fire departments or for courtroom security, whatever it may be. We've unfortunately have had bad actors in the past, and so we've had to put rules on there to make sure. But it should not discourage anybody that's doing the right thing to apply and get those grants. So there's always, when you ask for the government a handout, there's always strings attached to that.
Especially federal money.
But I think, but with these, right, especially with federal, there's so many clawbacks. But but at the state level, it comes through audit. So we audit these grants and making sure. I sit on the audit committee, so we make sure that every penny is being spent the right way. And if you don't, you'll get audited even further, and you have to come to the legislature, and we can claw some of that money back. We have an issue right now with cities misappropriating some water funds, that some of their funds are being postponed for either failing to provide audits or putting water money into road in the road money budget. So, and you can't mix the two or three or all that. So that's the job of the audit committee. That's what we're supposed to do, to make sure at the end of the day that Jane taxpayer and Joe taxpayer's money is being spent the right way, ethically.
Yeah, we have a lot of problems there, but it's probably more so on the federal level. But
yeah.
But still, it's it's a concern on local.
Now, were these courthouse grants, were they just 100% grant, or was there a match requirement?
These are 100% grants. So these are what they asked for, and that's what we provided. And something else I want to say too is, just off the subject real quick, and it's a regional thing. You were talking about regional earlier for fire departments to apply something. There's several state reps in our area in North Central Arkansas, and some senators that are working with NOAA to get a satellite radar for storms in our area. We have a gap between Springfield and Little Rock, and we're at that gap where it's hard for them to detect debris when tornadoes are on the ground and so forth, because the radars, when they get to our level, kind of fade out. And so we're working with our federal delegation to hopefully sooner or later to get a radar system up here. That way, at the end of the day, it will hopefully save more lives and save more property and give us quicker warning times when it comes to severe weather.
Good deal.
So what do you say, Shane?
Well, it'll give people plenty of warning time to go out on their front porch and watch it coming.
That's right.
I can't say anything. I'm one of those people that will watch it come to my front porch.
Yeah, well, I don't watch them come. I listen for them. If I hear something coming, I'm heading for the storm shelter.
There you
I
go.
don't have a storm shelter, so I do
We can
this.
come to my house.
I put my two hands together and I look up and go.
I got enough room for you, in mine.
Yeah.
But anyway, Stetson, I know you're down in San Antonio getting ready for your reserve exercises, but we sure appreciate you coming on with us tonight. So I know you just got into your hotel room and dialed in. So if you don't have anything,
Hey, well, I appreciate it. I just appreciate you guys letting me on. It's always a pleasure to be on with you guys. And us Republicans, we've got to, across the state, and we even in our local area, we've got some races that we got to make sure we show out and make sure not give up any ground, because the Democrats are coming. I talked to a couple of people the other day, and they're like, "Oh, they're not that. They're motivated from the national level down." And so we need to make sure that we hold our ground. And there's a couple of opportunities in the state of Arkansas that we can gain a couple of seats, but we need to make sure we hold what we have. And so hopefully our fellow Republicans will come out and show out in November. And we can talk about that a lot closer when we get closer to the election.
We'll be having you on probably just about every month between now and November to make sure that we got you covered.
Yeah.
You know, but
Yeah,
because
I
the
appreciate it.
liberals don't ever sleep. You
That's
know,
right.
They work
That's right.
24/7.
No.
The devil is always on the job.
That's it.
Well, hey, thanks for coming, and we'll get you.
Thank you, guys. I
catch
appreciate you.
soon.
All right, thanks. Bye.
All right, that was Stetson Painter, District 3 State Rep. It's always a good interview. Now we're gonna talk to Shane Little, our probably the best. What are you,
We're
best
I'm
fill-in host?
Number one fill-in host in Baxter County.
Well, I was gonna say nationwide.
It's
but
not nationwide yet.
We haven't verified that, but it's trending that.
I received just today in the mail, the certified letter from the Sullivan Group. I have been certified. They've audited this opinion. I am the number one fill-in host in Baxter County. It's official.
Awesome.
Just a minute. I want to get my watch out of
We
it.
feel blessed to have
I want to
you.
get my watch out of it. It's waterproof, but I don't know about the rest of it.
We feel fortunate to have you.
We're
Shane,
working
so-
on Arkansas. We'll see how that goes here in the future. But for now, it's just Baxter County.
Well, you got to learn, take one step at a time, and I think you're well on your way. So this is awesome to have you.
But I'll tell you what, I do appreciate the fact that you're available and wanting to step in, because my plate's just too full to be every week here. And with you and Chris filling in, number one, it gives a variety.
Yeah,
To,
and we got some sharp dudes that know what's
Yes,
going
we
on.
do.
So that's,
Yes, we do.
Stepping up is exactly what I wanted to talk about today. Because I wanted to appeal directly to our audience, anybody who's viewing this. I want to tell you a little bit about my story. I'm not anybody in particular. I'm not important. I'm not wealthy. I'm not this or that and the other. I don't have a bunch of certifications or letters behind my name or anything like that.
I think we're all important, but
A few years ago,
that's me.
and now let me back up even. Now I grew up in a conservative household. I've been conservative my whole life. I listened to Rush Limbaugh when I was young, and all the radio talk show hosts, and that's and I thought I was doing a great job doing my duty. I'd show up and vote at the polls, and I was participating a lot. And a few years ago, after everything that's gone on in the world, my wife and we began to kind of look around and go, you know what? We actually probably need to get involved on a deeper level here. Instead of just yelling at the radio or sitting and watching TV and complaining about it, why don't I get off the couch and actually do something? So that's what we did. A few years ago, we got involved with the local Republican Party here in Baxter County, and we joined the team. And I want to talk to you, the viewers at home, about what that's like. If you've never participated in this before, I want to explain to you what it's like as a newcomer. It's just a committee that meets once a month. We meet on the last Tuesday of every month, and we get together and we talk about things that matters locally. We vote on things. We decide the things that we want our local committee to do. Sometimes we do fundraising. Sometimes we do community involvement. We're one of the things that we voted on here recently was to give some scholarships to some of the local students here in Baxter County, to some promising young minds.
To all 3 school districts.
That's right. And lots and lots of other things, but it's it's like most people, you just sit at home, and one of the things that really I struggle with is everybody. You tend to have we have a tendency to just watch the national news, and that's what everybody gets caught up in. That's all that's on anybody's radar, and I really think that a lot of the local level things that just go by the wayside, especially here in this area, because we don't really have a whole lot of, we don't have a lot of media coverage of what goes on here politically. And I struggle because we need more participation to make things happen.
And life is pretty good here.
Yeah.
But it could be better.
It could be.
And the thing about it is, it's the same old people doing everything. Every committee we have is basically manned by the same people. And people say why.
Half of them right now.
And people ask why.
Yeah.
Because it's all voluntary.
Right.
And volunteerism in this country is probably at an all-time low, except on the liberal side, the protesters and stuff, but they're actually getting paid. But the thing about it is you bring up a great point, Shane. Too many people sit at home and they get out and vote once every 4 years for president.
That's
and they
right.
think they've done their job. They've done their part. Most of the stuff that affects you on a daily basis happens right here in Baxter County and Mountain Home.
That's right.
And if you're not involved in your local politics, the old saying is all politics is local. Because people start off, they get on the city council, a quorum court, or whatever. Then they become county judge or the mayor. And then the next thing you know, they're a state representative or a state senator. And then you look up and they're in Washington. Well, it started at the local level.
That's right.
And if it was a bad politician at the local level, what makes you think that they're going to get better when they get to Washington, D.C.,
Yeah.
where it's so corrupt?
Yep.
So the local level is where you weed that out.
Yeah, and at the state.
Yeah.
Which leads me to one of the things I wanted to talk about. And I know Chris was here a few weeks ago, and y'all had a conversation probably about what went on down in Little Rock at the state Republican convention. I was there. It's my second convention that I've ever been to. My very first one was 2 years ago during the last presidential election. Learned a lot. It was the very first time I'd ever participated in anything like that. It was really exciting. It was up in Rogers, and I was quite taken aback by what happened. I was a little bit still naive.
Yes.
Green.
Yeah.
Like I said, it was my first time participating in anything on a large scale like that or a statewide type of thing.
And it was my first time, too. So you and I are on the same parallel path.
Right.
We both started attending the conventions at the same time. Now, let me just throw one little other chink in there. I also have been to the last 2 years' worth of state committee meetings. Now, if you don't understand the construct of the Republican Party in Arkansas, the bylaws and the rules say that the state convention has final authority in all matters. Stop. End of story. In the interim between conventions, which is every 2 years, the state committee has they delegate the authority. Well, the state committee only meets twice a year. So in the interim, the state executive committee runs the Republican Party here in Arkansas, as it does in most other states.
And generally speaking, these are people that are appointed by the political leaders.
Well,
at least the executive chair.
The state chairman is voted in by the state committee at the state committee level. He appoints the rules committee. Now, and I know where you're going with this. The rules committee, up until 2 years ago, had always allowed any proposed rule changes to go to the full convention for voting. That being said, that's the way it should be because the convention has final authority. In the last 2 years, the last two conventions, The Rules Committee has also become the screening authority. They decide which ones gets forwarded to the convention for voting or even being read, and which ones they don't deem fit to be read to the convention.
That's right.
So my take on that is, how can the convention have final authority when the Rules Convention determines what they get to even see?
That's right. So
Sounds familiar.
let me repeat this for those of you viewers at home who may not be following along. The way the Republican Party in Arkansas is constructed, the convention, the statewide convention that happens every 2 years, that is supposed to be the final authority on what the rules are, what the Republican Party platform is, what the Republican Party believes in Arkansas, how we run candidates, the standards that we set for conservatism or republicanism, whatever. So the party leaders here up the top, the process is within a minimum of 60 days before the convention. Anybody in the state, any of the state committees, if they want to propose a rule change or a platform change or anything like that, they file it with the state committee, and they
generally through the district.
Right.
It goes
through the district.
Through one of the 4 district committees.
Right.
And the district committee then forwards it.
Well, so there's a small group of the party bosses, as it were, that are deciding, you know what? No, that thing, if that got passed at the convention, that would upset the apple cart. So we're not even going to allow the people to hear it or vote on it. And that happened 2 years ago, and I was very surprised by it. I thought we had overcome it, but we didn't. And basically the same thing happened this year, and it went even deeper this year because the Rules Committee decided that 20 of the 75 counties here in Arkansas, they didn't file their paperwork in time for their delegates, so they weren't even seated at the convention. In other words, all the people that showed up from these 20 counties there to vote and be recognized and have a say at the table, they were excluded from the party.
And there is a remedy for those late bloomers too, to get them back on board before the process continues. Is that?
Well, it was just a clerical thing, you know. And the other thing
that can be resolved on site.
Well, yes.
But it goes even deeper than that. The state committee, the executive committee, number one, those people. Some of those people are actually salaried people. They get paid. Most of the state and all of the county level people are all volunteers. From the chairman down, everyone is a volunteer. The state has paid people working in the chief of staff, the chairman, and all those people get paid.
Are those full-time jobs?
Yes. Now, those people should be reaching out to every county, reminding them, here's what you need to do to make sure. The convention's going to be this day. You need to make sure that you get your list of delegates to us by the such and such a day in order for us to process it at the credentials committee and be able to seat your delegates.
And they should be able to follow up on that.
The convention is the biggest group of representatives in the state. Every single county has a number of delegates that they are authorized to send to the state. It's the lowest level of grassroots there is in the state for the party.
And historically, this executive committee, it mainly is supposed to serve as an administrative role.
Yes.
I mean, they're just taking care of organizing the thing. And what's changed apparently here in recent times in Arkansas, they're taking more of they're essentially making the rules themselves instead of just organizing the meeting of the convention. Yep. They're deciding what people can and can't hear and can and can't vote on.
And the thing about it is, volunteerism, as I was saying, volunteerism is a problem anyway. Number one, most younger people are working can to can't trying to support their family and get ahead. Retired people, spent 50 or 55, 60 years working. They're just kind of wanting to go and relax for a few years and stuff. And then by the time they turn around, they're too old and decrepit to do a whole lot of stuff.
Well, I think
Now,
the root of this problem is for participation. People, especially younger people, probably they feel like they're not qualified to jump in and do these
Well, and they're busy doing
volunteer
other
activities.
things.
Well, yeah.
It's not high on their priority list.
Yeah, because they're Republicans, they're working.
Well, yeah, they're
You know,
working.
they're raising
other things
families.
to
They're
and stuff.
working. But the thing about it is you're right to it's and it's not a simplistic problem. It's a multifaceted problem. Considerably. The young people. I know when I was young, I had no clue about politics, didn't want to get involved in politics. I was just busy running, doing what I do, do what young people do.
Yeah.
Having fun and raising a family and all that. But the thing about it is, and this goes back to what we were saying about all the stuff that happens and affects you locally, it's right here.
That's right.
It's hard for us to influence Washington, D.C. It's a whole lot easier for us to pack the quorum court and influence the quorum court and the county judge right here in Mountain Home to get things changed locally. Because otherwise, you got to get a hold of Tom Cotton, Bozeman, and our representatives. They're all busy.
Yes.
Well, by the time it gets up to them, it's so convoluted, it's not going to affect us in the way we had envisioned anyway. But in Baxter County, we can do that through the quorum court.
Now the thing is with the participation deal, like I know when I started getting involved, I really didn't understand what was going on.
No, none of us do.
And that's what makes a lot of people nervous, I think.
Yeah.
And that's okay.
Yeah.
You don't have to know everything that's going on.
I started going to these meetings, and I didn't say a whole lot at first, but eventually as time went on,
Yeah, you pick it up.
I picked it up and started understanding it, and then one day I slipped and I put my hand up. and
And you became secretary.
I became
and you're still the secretary.
well, that's when the learning process really started. But then I started really getting the understanding, and it almost got to be fun.
Yeah.
Really, sometimes it's kind of fun.
It is fun, and like you were saying, the big thing is people need to get involved. Come down and check us out. We meet the last Tuesday at the VFW.
At the VFW in downtown Mountain Home.
I mean, come down, sit, ask questions.
Just
just see
just listen.
And you're going to be surrounded by like-minded people
That's right.
that are going to be glad to see
Well,
you.
if they're conservatives, there will be.
Well, if you're a Democrat, you're at the wrong place. You're at the wrong meeting.
I don't know when they meet, but we'll find out and send you on your way.
Yeah.
Anyway, the point one of the points I really want to make is that all we need is for people to show up, and I think it's like this. We Republicans think we have a choice when there's a primary, where there's a primary election. And what I've learned in the last few years is, at least right now, that's not really true. You have the illusion of a choice because
Well, you have a choice. It's just that the
choice is already
incumbent the incumbent will always be favored.
Well, but it's not just that. Even when there's a primary, very oftentimes the candidates that you are allowed to vote for are already chosen for you, and so that's why I'm talking about that. You kind of have the illusion of a choice. That's my opinion, anyway.
Well, plus we have open primaries, don't we? And that's kind of
Yeah.
that throws another monkey wrench into the
Yeah.
But
even though we tried to close them 2 years ago
at the state convention.
at the state convention, the state executive committee decided that they didn't want to recognize that convention, so they just said, we don't acknowledge that that convention even happened.
Yeah, they just waved their hand and said, nope, we don't care what you say. That's not going to be the way it is. And there were lawsuits filed, and the judges said, nope, they didn't budge an inch to change anything. So my point, the point I want to make is, if we just had more people just show up at these conventions, it would have made all the difference. There is a groundswell of grassroots effort here in Arkansas to make some changes, and the people need to have a say. And that's what really frustrated me at the convention, just this most recent convention a few weeks ago, is I'm not very bashful about standing up in a group of people and saying what I think. I was sitting there next to Chris at the convention, and they were really bulldozing through the agenda items, and they didn't have an agenda item to bring up any new business or discuss anything. They had the agenda. You were going to vote for this, and this, and this, and this, and then we're done. And so I jumped up after talking to Chris. I said, well, we should probably make a motion. Just at least say, put it on the table for us to talk about, for us to introduce new things to the agenda. So I ran up to the microphone, said, Shane Little, Baxter County, I make a motion that we add new business to the agenda. And somebody immediately seconded, and it summarily got voted down by the counties in this state that don't want, that are part of the political establishment, as it were.
Well, and it was very novel how they had the seating arranged.
Yes.
There's a couple of counties that are more liberal that, quite frankly, are right on board with everything that the executive committee is doing. Now, generally speaking, in the convention, the way you vote is through voice vote. All yays, and people say yay or nay. All of the people, the two counties that are on board with what the executive committee is wanting to do, or always wants to do, we're sitting right up front. So their voices sounded louder than everyone else's.
Which brings us back to Shane's point about putting more
people
butts in those chairs.
Exactly, and I was going to...
And there's even a visual effect there. When they see that many new faces, they go, uh-oh.
There were 588 delegates there at this convention. There probably should have been more than that.
Yes, in 2022, there were 693.
Right.
I think it was 693. But the thing about it is, I'll give you a case in point on the numbers. Baxter County has authorized 34 delegates to the state convention.
And guess how many we had show up?
13.
13.
13.
We could have had 30, what did you say, 38?
34.
34. 34 people, and we had 13.
And there's a lot of counties, I'll be honest, some counties, and I, being on the executive board for the District 1, I work with other counties. We have multiple Zoom calls throughout the quarter to discuss things. There are counties in Arkansas now that basically virtually don't even have a Republican committee because people have gotten so disgusted that they've just quit. I've talked personally to some people that said, I'll never go to another convention. That is exactly what they want.
Yes.
That is exactly what the executive committee wants. Because if we all quit and we don't go, then they win. I spent over 20 years in the military, in the Navy. I'm not a quitter. If the people storming the beaches at Normandy had quit when they saw the first wave go down, we just might be speaking German or Japanese right now.
Yeah.
The same thing if when they stormed the beaches at Peleliu, Guadalcanal, and all the other islands over in the Pacific. The first wave took 70 to 90% casualties, but they kept coming.
Yeah, and
You know,
we're not asking people to
We're
storm
not
any
ask-
beaches.
We're not asking people to storm a beach.
We-
We're not asking people to get shot at. Just get
Just-
involved
just-
once a
yeah.
month. Attend a meeting. Give us an hour a month. 1 hour a month.
That's right.
After that, you determine how much time additional time you want to put in. All we want is 1 hour a month. Just come and check us out.
I want to get back to that 20 counties for a second. Were they allowed into the meeting?
Nope.
No,
They couldn't even come in.
there was
Oh.
I can't remember if it was 20 originally 21.
26. It
Uh,
was 26
26.
originally. It ended up 23.
right.
23 counties.
The only one that was remedied at the convention, if I remember correctly, was Lawrence County.
Lawrence County.
There was some clerical error, with their filing. It didn't get.
It was
forwarded
because their county clerk did not.
Somebody didn't.
They didn't file
Somebody
with their
didn't do what
county
they were
clerk.
supposed to at some point, but the county, the committee itself did everything that they were supposed to. So they were seated. All of the other counties were excluded.
They couldn't
Yep.
even come in.
Nope. A lot of them were sitting out in the hallway waiting to come
Yep.
in, and
Wow.
the
Turn 'em
vote
away.
the vote to admit them failed.
Wow.
And part of it was because no one from that committee, from those committees, got to tell their side of the story.
Oh.
So it was all one-sided. They said that the counties didn't do this, and the counties didn't get an opportunity to justify what they did or what they didn't do or tell their side of the story.
And I should point out too that there are deadlines, involved here. You've got to have your list of delegates turned in by a certain date, and so on and so forth. But that's mainly, again, historically has been for just for administrative reasons. The executive committee's got to make sure that they have a space big enough to fit so many people. Those deadlines have never been there's no in the rules, if I remember correctly, there's no punitive rules attached to it.
Well,
it's
there's
just
a
been
deadline. There's a deadline, for submission. If you don't meet the deadline, then you don't have a remedy. But the problem is the state executive committee did not send out reminders. Fulton County didn't hold a convention. I normally work with them, and I was not able to attend a couple of their monthly meetings. I sent them a text message and said, you need to hold your convention such and such a day. And I don't know why they didn't. But the thing about it is, it's incumbent upon the executive committee to try to be bringing more people into the party
Right.
instead of pushing people out of the party.
right.
Well, at what stage of the game did these 23 counties or whatever know that they were not?
Okay, I'll answer your question, but I'll back up and get into something else. One of the things that they do at the convention is there's an incredibly arduous process at the very beginning just to get credentialing done, and I think this is intentional. I think this is intentional by the executive committee.
Exactly.
Especially for people who've never done it before, who've never been there before. You walk into this thing, and there's a few different kinds of people that go to these conventions. There are people like I was 2 years ago, naive. I'm there, bright-eyed, bushy-tailed, naive. I'm like, I'm ready to go. I think I'm gonna make a difference. And then there's people that aren't very keen, and they're just not exactly sure why they're there. And then the third kind of people that are there are people that know exactly what they're doing, and they're there to make sure
one
that
side or the other.
yeah. So that. So the first several hours, and it takes hours for you to sit there. You're voting on these things. First of all, you got to vote for a temporary chair and a temporary secretary, and that takes forever because they count the ballots and everything. And it's intentionally disorganized so that it takes forever. And then you get into the credentialing. There's all this arguing back and forth about which counties can be seated and which can't, and that takes forever.
And if you remember back in 2022, we didn't have the issue with counties being seated.
That's right.
Okay. What we did have a problem with was they never revealed the total number of authorized votes or authorized delegates.
Delegates, yeah.
So every convention, they keep changing things just a little bit different, So, but we're not doing this to run people off. We're pointing out these problems because the only remedy and the only way we fix this problem is we got to get more people on our side.
Reinforcements.
The people that are honest to goodness, conservative, that they want to see change, they want to be able to affect change. If we could go with a full delegation of 34 people, and some of these other counties get 34 or 40 or 50, in 2020, they would not allow Pulaski County to seat their 55 delegates. In 2026, Washington County was not allowed to seat their 54 delegates. In each of those two conventions, those numbers would have been enough to put the vote on the over the top.
Direction.
So it's purely about the numbers. We have to have more numbers, and it starts by getting you to our meetings on the last Tuesday, which just so happens to be not tomorrow, but a week from tomorrow.
A week from tomorrow.
The 30th at the VFW.
That's right. And Russ and I have talked about this a lot, and I have a conviction, especially now since I've witnessed this twice in a row at the state convention. I've got 2 years, and I am going to do everything in my power to make sure that every county in the state, especially the ones that don't have the bigger numbers, but especially here in Baxter County, I want us to go with a full roster of delegates to the state convention. This is something that ought to be so easy to do. We've just got to convince enough people to get involved. Well, if we showed up in massive numbers, we could take it back from this political cabal that's up at the top. Oh, and that's, by the way, that's something I definitely wanted to emphasize. I don't see these people as political enemies. I mean, in other words, they're Republicans. They're just not quite as conservative as I'd like to see at the top.
Well, and the thing about it is, regardless of whether they're conservative or not conservative, or they're Republicans, but the way they're running the convention is wrong.
Right.
Hands down wrong. I don't care what they are. There's a right way to do business and a wrong way to do business. There's a moral and ethical way and an immoral and unethical way to do it. And they are not.
Well, they're the establishment, and they don't want they don't want the boat to be rocked.
They are preventing the people of Arkansas from having a say in the political process.
Yeah. Exactly.
And they've done it for 2 conventions in a row now. And I will not. If I have anything to say about it, it will not happen again 2 years from now.
Well, the thing about it is, and it goes, we're talking about numbers. We tried to resurrect the Young Republicans group here in Baxter County. In addition to the 34 delegates that were currently authorized, if we had a Young Republicans group here in Baxter County, the chairman of that Young Republicans is automatically a delegate. In addition to all the other delegates that were authorized. And the same goes in every other county. So we need young people. Number one, Joe's got a lot of gray hair. I got a lot.
I don't have a lot
white-
of gray hair. What hair I have is gray, though.
Well, okay.
Okay,
Well,
let's
and
get
I've got a lot of white hair. It's gone way past gray. And Jay's losing his, but it's gray. We're going to be dead here one of these years, and it's going to be incumbent upon you young people to step in the breach here. It's going to affect you whether you know it or not. The time to get involved is now, not when you're old and decrepit like me. The time to get involved is when you still have the energy to go do things. We can help you. We can teach you. Heck, I'll drive you somewhere, if you want to go.
Well, and actually, we've kind of made it easier at our committee.
Yes. Exactly.
We've recently formed new, subcommittees.
Subcommittees.
And people like Russ and others that have experience are going to be the heads of these committees, and they'll be happy to see you, and they'll show you the ropes, and just it's an easy way to get involved, and I think that's part of the problem. A lot of these other counties are not organized, just like we weren't, but we're working on it.
And it doesn't take a lot of money.
Right.
It does not take a lot of money for you to get involved. The big thing is I was in touch last week with Senator Cotton people to try to get Senator Cotton up here for a Lincoln Day dinner later this year. I want to have 500 people. I want to have to rent the shed out of ASU to be able to seat the people. So, start on it now. We're looking at mid-October. But get involved. This gets into the volunteerism in a number of different things. Your fire department needs volunteers. PTA needs volunteers. The school needs volunteers. The Republican committee needs volunteers. Democrats got plenty. They don't need anybody.
They pay them. They pay them.
Yeah, it's a hard thing. It's when life is busy and there's lots of things going on. I totally get it. But my gosh, what's a population of Baxter County?
43,000.
Yeah, so we've got a lot of really good people in this county, and we need a lot more to be involved. And it's like we've been saying, once a month. Just come to the VFW on the last Tuesday of every month. You don't have to get it. You don't have to stand up. We're not going to embarrass you. Just show up and listen.
6
listen
o'clock.
to what's going on. 6
o'clock. 6 o'clock, the last Tuesday of the month.
It's a civic duty, and one hour a month is not really putting a burden on you.
That's right. And just because you watch YouTube videos and listen to political podcasts and yell at shake your fist at the TV because of the the nightly news and the leftists, don't think that you're doing anything.
You still get to do that.
Get off your tail and get involved.
And the thing about it is you'll find out once you get involved that what you're hearing on the nightly news
is a crop.
Is a bunch of garbage.
Yeah.
You might as well get involved and find out the real scoop, or at least how to interpret it.
Yep.
Anyway.
All right. Well, that sounds like a soapbox we just came off of. Anything else you want to add?
I'm excited about the radar.
The radar.
Yeah, the
from
NOAA radar.
If we can manage to get a good radar up here, because that would be great.
Yep.
Yeah, that would be awesome.
Yep.
But they do need to remedy that.
I want the
dead
early
zone
warning. I want the early warning so I can go out on my front porch and watch it coming.
Yeah.
You got beer?
Well,
Oh no, you have wine.
We got wine. We got
got
wine
okay.
and beer
at
the restaurant.
Maybe I'll come over to your porch. Well, there's a porch there.
I've actually watched quite a few storms from the walkway there.
It's probably not a bad view.
Yeah.
But okay, well I think we'll wrap this portion of the program up. Russ, what do you have?
No,
Anything
that's good. I thought good, enjoyable conversation.
Okay.
Looking forward to having a big crowd next week.
Awesome. You want to tell us about James Boyette one more time?
Sure. Yeah. Just a reminder, we're sponsored by the Baxter County Republican Committee. You see the sign back here, the BCRC. Last Tuesday of the month, 6 o'clock VFW. We're also sponsored by James Boyette State Farm Insurance. He's located at 1330 Highway 62 East in Mountain Home. His phone number is 870-425-4540. If you need insurance or you're shopping for insurance, give James a call. You won't be disappointed. He's an outstanding agent, I'll tell you right now.
Well, thank
And
you.
we're sponsored by, I'll go ahead and read it. We're sponsored by our first, other than the Baxter County Republican Committee, the first people that stepped up to sponsor us was Mountain Home Heat and Air. Kurt Lawrence and the folks out there are outstanding. 870-425-HBAC if you need anything. From new installations to duct cleaning and everything in between, Mountain Home Heat and Air can take care of you.
They're great folks out there.
Yes,
they really do a great job.
Yes, they are.
We have a couple other announcements that happen, well, not at least once a month, but more often for some. Quorum Court, first Tuesday, 5:30 p.m. each month, Baxter County Courthouse. City Council meets first and third Thursday, 5 p.m. at City Hall. Republican Men's Club meets first Thursday, 11:30 a.m. at Elks. City Planning Committee, second Monday, 1 p.m., City Hall. County Planning Committee, second Tuesday, 11 a.m., Baxter County Courthouse. A&P, which is Advertising and Promotion, third Thursday, 3 p.m. at City Hall. School Board meets at the Admin Building the third Thursday, 6 p.m., Rodeo Drive. And the Airport Advisory Committee, which is the old Airport Commission, every couple months as needed. I don't think they have a specific schedule.
They're trying to meet once a quarter.
Once a quarter.
They're trying to meet once a quarter, or possibly more often if the need arises.
And of course, Baxter County Republican Committee, again, last Tuesday each month, 6 p.m. at VFW. All of these meetings you can attend. Just sit in. You don't have to say a word, and it'll be a good way to learn a little bit here and there. So.
Guaranteed. And if you want to know what's going on in your city and county, this is the place to start.
Yeah,
you go and you just listen.
Yep.
And you find out what's going on. You kind of observe. You find out there's a structure to each meeting. They're all governed by Robert's Rules of Order.
And you can speak up. You don't have to, but you can.
Okay, for some of them, like
Usually.
school board, you're requested, if you want to speak, you go to the school board, you show up a little bit early, and they have a sign-up sheet out front, and you just put your name on there and what you'd like to speak about, and then they'll give you, a few minutes to voice your opinion or whatever.
Okay. All that being said, thank you, Shane. Shane Little.
Pleasure to be here.
Why don't you plug your operation over there? Your little.
Oh, well, thank you. If any of you are hungry or thirsty, my wife and I, we own the Ozark Fork and Cork and Mountain Homemade. Mountain Homemade is a little local made gift shop. It's got everything in there is local made, and inside of the gift shop we've got the Ozark Fork and Cork. It's probably, in my opinion, the premier wine bar and charcuterie restaurant in town. So come say hi.
And it's where I learned to say charcuterie.
Charcuterie.
Yep.
Come see us.
Same here. I couldn't say it
And
before.
Russ Gillis, thank you again. And I'm Joe Bryant, and I'm going to say thanks to all for joining us, and we'll see you in 1 week.